I feel like I should have took a longer drag on that one right here because, like, man, this right here is gonna be. Man, let me take another one. So, let's get into the story about the homie. Now, I'm not gonna go ahead and release the homie's name and all that good shit, you know, because I'm gonna wanna be a snitch and I don't want a whole lot of shit to pop off out this bitch. And I don't wanna have to get that flapping and shit, but, you know, okay, so, I'm real particular about my friends. I'm a real kind of like stickler about who I put in my circle and all that shit because sometimes motherfuckers can just piss you off like a son of a bitch. Then you got these lying motherfuckers and all that good shit, which is what we about to kind of go into, you know. But at the same time, I did realize that you do need a good core of individuals, males and females, because if you're dealing with a relationship or just moving in life in general, you know, you want these people around you to let you know that you're moving right or that you're moving wrong or that you're possibly being an asshole or you're possibly just being a great person, and it just helps you know how to move, okay? So, that was a life lesson learned, and you probably just learned a little lesson too, because some of these people have these core individuals around them and they don't like what they have to say and they drive them away when they really need them at the end of the day, okay? See, a lot of people think that I just be talking some dumb shit, but I really do be talking some real shit, you know, okay? But let's go back into the segment. All right, so the homie saw that I was getting into this new venture of growing my own shit. So he wanted to give his input, and I was like, okay, I'm totally down for input, because one of the things one of my best friends told me was that you're going to most definitely get a lot of input from a lot of different people, because a lot of people have different growing methods, and you're going to want to basically incorporate that method. You're going to want to incorporate everything, and then you'll be able to have your own way of how you want to move and grow your own shit. And I was like, okay, so it was a tip to let me know that a lot of people are going to be telling me shit, and I need to just take in what they say and make my own way, okay? So I had the homie continuously tell me that he was growing and he did this shit for 10 years and he made $10,000 a year. I know you just did the math possibly too, and you possibly did the math quicker than me. Now, I was high as shit a lot. I'm always high as shit, you know, between the medication and whatever the fuck I'm on. It ain't no coke or shit, but you know, like, I smoke good weed, you know, so my shit is most definitely that gas. I don't have that ass, I have that gas. Alright, but anyway, so homie was telling me about how he was doing the 10-year grow, and it's basically he was making $10,000 a year as he grew for 10 years. So it's $10,000 a year. He grew for 10 years. So that's $100,000 that would have been made out here. Doing the math, it just didn't sound right. I'm sorry, but you know, like, you know, again, sometimes I know to shut the fuck up. I just know to shut the fuck up because it's gonna start a whole situation. Sometimes, you know, sometimes, you know, just to shut the fuck up. So I didn't say anything, of course, you know, like, hey, because that math don't really like kind of like sound right, you know, like if you had a regular rotation, then you most definitely would have been making more. I just don't know how you would. And that's one of the things, again, that I learned while growing. You don't know how a person is growing and how their operation is, what they're using, nutrients, and how their rotation might be or whatever, you know. So again, it's a whole lot of shit when it comes to that growing thing out there. And I didn't know this. But anyway, I was getting, again, tips from everybody, and one of the things that I found that I was going to do was test him. And it was a simple test. I was going to take one of his tips, use his tip, and see how he reacts in the future, because he always feels as though that I was not using his tips. And let's go to the one tip that he continuously used. It's called busting the pots, okay? When you bust the pots, that basically is making this kind of, you know, making the roots is kind of like busting the roots up a little bit so they can get a little bit of air and space between them and stuff like that. And I was like, that's totally understandable and everything, but how can you bust a pot if the pot is like a 10-gallon pot? How can you bust the pot if the pot is big as fuck plastic pot? We'll say that it's not a ceramic pot that the motherfucker's using out this bitch. How can you bust this pot? You know, so he a lot of times will get mad about the situation and say that there is no grower, a true grower, busts their pots. And I'm like, okay. But I did a couple of harvests and I did not bust my pots at the end of the day. So again, here is this friend continuously telling me that I should be busting my pots and shit. But he did give me a tip. And again, I used that tip. So one day it came to a pinnacle where he was saying something and I told him that, hey, I did use your tip. You gave me a tip. You say that I never listened to your shit, but I did use your tip and there you go out this bitch. He ran and raved like a son of a bitch. I mean, he was a true Mitch about the whole situation out this bitch. You know, and I mean, he was, at one time he got into one of the other homies talking about he was gonna pull up on him and all this other kind of shit. And in my mouth like, dude, why are you talking about you gonna drive over 1,000 miles or pull up on a motherfucker like this motherfucker ain't gonna be able to get a gun and shoot your ass as soon as you get to the doorstep and shit? Are you even really thinking what you're saying out this bitch? You know, like, a whole lot of virtual, I guess you could say bullying, a whole lot of virtual bullshit, basically I would call it. Because, like, come on, man, you know, like, you gonna get your drunk ass the fuck up and drive over 1,000 miles thinking you ain't gonna get pulled the fuck over like you swerving lanes and shit. You probably gonna pass the fuck out and pull over on the side of the road and go to fucking sleep and just say fuck the whole goddamn trip and go back home because you gotta go to work the next day, bitch. Like, it was just so many elements that I don't think he was thinking about because, you know, this is one thing that, you know, happens when you are an alcoholic. I just feel as though that's, you know, sometimes people don't use their brain, you know. My daddy was out. Now, let's go ahead and get this out the way. I have nothing about what the motherfucker drinks out this bitch. My daddy was a goddamn alcoholic out this. For many years, my dad always had a goddamn drink. And every time, man, I used to go with him to work and he was getting the goddamn car. I didn't realize it then, but I realize it now, that he was a drunk driving motherfucker. He was driving all the goddamn time while he was drunk as shit. He put my life at risk. I didn't even think about it again at that time. But now, when I see that again, I'm like, man, what the fuck was you thinking back then? You know, like, you know, nigga, what we got the accident and shit. Like, who the fuck was you? How would you explain that shit? You know? But anyway, though, so, gotta calm back down. As me and the homie got into it, and then he again got into it with other people and shit, he just disappeared off this bitch, you know, and it was, again, one of these moments where we go back to the beginning where a person really does not want to hear what you have to say, and that's why my core individuals that I keep around me, they're honest, they're true, and if I tell them something, they'll listen to me. And I always tell a person, like, hey, I'm not a perfect motherfucker, you know, and I don't really like telling a person how to really move on certain situations because I don't want you to go and do the shit and then blame me if you move wrong when you go and do the shit. It don't, you know, you can tell a person go to the store and go get some goddamn chips, and on their way to the store, they go and make a goddamn U-turn, and, you know, then go to the store and then get robbed on the way to the store, but it's not my fault because I didn't tell you to make the fucking U-turn, bitch, before you went to the store and shit. I'm not this, again, it's not me. It's not me, motherfucker. It's not me. I'm foolish. I'm not stupid. I'm not crazy, bitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm just me. Okay, so that's the story of the homie. That's the story of the homie because you know, if people really go through shit. You know, a lot of times, you know, if you're a true friend, you know, you go through shit, but you stick it out at the end. Like the motherfucker that got me the goddamn jacket, it's over there, man. You know, I laid it down nice and beautifully on the bed and shit because I could have put it over here on the goddamn railing and treated it like shit, like I did the other jacket, but no. My homie gave me that motherfucking jacket, yo, and if anything ever happens to him, you know, I will most definitely have this memory of my goddamn friend, you know, and that was a memory what passed on to me because of the fact that I lost one of my best motherfucking homies. He never woke up one day, and he had sleep apnea, never knew the shit, and didn't wake up one day out this bitch, and from that moment on, I just knew to move my way. You know, one day you just might not wake up, okay? So I say, hey man, you know what I'm saying? I got most to leave people motherfucking mirrors out the bitch because you ain't be coming to my casket crying, you know, grabbing all on my hands. Shit. I gotta take a clipping, bitch. I will get the fuck, I will wake the fuck up out of the grave, bitch. You cut my hair and shit while I'm in the casket. Oh, you dirty bitch. Oh, you know, I'm just saying though, you know, so that's why I most definitely say I'm gonna go ahead and do this whole new path. And if motherfucker don't like it, they can kiss my goddamn ass because they pull up to my goddamn doorstep and shit. Whatever doorstep I got out of this bitch, I will spray the shit out of your fucking and slap you bitch. Again, see, there we go. The other personality just jumped out, but again, if some shit pops off, I'm gonna get the first slap in my. I'm trying to tell you. Now maybe I shouldn't have said this shit because the motherfucker gonna know it's coming out of this bitch. But I just had to get it out there, okay? Because you know some shit go viral again. They gonna say, man, hey, cuz got his ass whooped like shit, but he slapped the fuck out of that nigga. Come trying to tell you, slapped the fuck out. Man, you should see he came down like bow, like you can see the shit come out of his mouth. I think he had a tooth that flew over. It had a fake tooth, and it just flew over there somewhere like in the field, some shit. You know, but he slapped the shit out of that dude, man. He slapped the shit out of homie, girl. Like man, you should have seen. Man, look at the motherfucker. Man, I got it right here. Let me pull it up real quick. That's how it's gonna go out this bitch. That's all I'm saying and shit. Well, definitely follow, like, subscribe, hit the bell on the side. I'll be seeing you guys on another motherfucking ride. I'm out this bitch.